Do you remember Cubic Castles? Maybe you played it years ago. Maybe you spent hundreds of hours building realms, trading items, decorating your house, meeting random people, or just messing around with friends. And maybe, at some point, you stopped playing. The game got quieter. Your friends stopped logging in. Updates became less exciting. And eventually, Cubic Castles became one of those games you remember fondly, but haven't touched in years. Well, Cubic Castles is still alive. And more importantly, the game has recently entered a pretty significant new chapter. So if you're an old player wondering, what happened to Cubic Castles? Who's running the game now? Is anyone even playing anymore? Or simply, is it worth coming back? This video is for you. Because today, we're going to take a look at the current state of Cubic Castles in 2026. And I'll try to give you the most honest picture possible. No pretending everything is perfect. Just where Cubic Castles is right now. Let's start with the biggest change. For years, Cubic Castles was developed and maintained by its previous team. But eventually, maintaining the game became increasingly difficult. The game had accumulated years of technical problems, security issues, exploits, and other challenges. And eventually, the previous developers stepped away from the game. This could have been the end. But instead, Cubic Castles was transferred to a new development direction. And this is where Betamax/Raptorsoft comes in. For older players, this name might actually sound familiar. Betamax was involved with Cubic Castles from its earlier days, so this isn't simply some completely random studio picking up an abandoned game. And that makes this transition particularly interesting, because we're essentially seeing someone connected to the game's history getting another opportunity to work on it. No, it's not dead. But I think we need to be realistic about what alive means. Cubic Castles isn't suddenly one of the biggest games on the internet. You're not going to log in and see tens of thousands of people online. But the game still has a community. People are still building. People are still trading. People are still creating realms. People are still making content. And there are still players who genuinely care about the game. That's actually one of the most important things about Cubic Castles. Its community has always been a huge part of what keeps the game alive. So let's say you haven't played Cubic Castles since 2016, 2017, 2018, maybe even longer. What happens when you come back? Well, the core game is still very recognizable. You still have the same fundamental idea. Build, explore, collect, trade, and socialize. You can create your own realms. Build whatever you want. Decorate your house. Collect blocks and furniture. Trade with other players. Participate in events. And explore what other players have created. And that's actually one of the reasons Cubic Castles has aged surprisingly well. The core concept doesn't really need to change. Player creativity is still the game's biggest strength. Now, if you're an old player coming back, this is probably going to be one of the biggest things you'll notice. The economy has changed. Items that you remember being extremely valuable may not have the same value anymore. And the opposite can also happen. Some items that you completely ignored years ago might suddenly be worth something. The economy has gone through years of inflation, changes in availability, events, item releases, and player demand. So if you still have an old account with a bunch of items, don't immediately start selling everything. Seriously, take some time to understand the current market first. And if you haven't played for years, don't assume that your old prices are still relevant. The Cubic Castles economy has evolved with the game. This is where things become particularly interesting. The new team isn't just walking into an empty project. They're inheriting a game with years of history. That means there is a lot to understand. Old systems, old code, old bugs, security problems, the economy, the community, and the expectations of players who have been here for years. So don't expect the game to suddenly receive a massive transformation overnight. A lot of the work happening behind the scenes probably isn't going to be visible to players immediately. And honestly, that's okay. There is something we can actually look forward to. A content update is coming in August, and this is probably the biggest reason returning players should keep an eye on the game right now. The interesting part? We don't know exactly what it contains. At least not yet. And that means we're currently in speculation territory. There are several possibilities people could be thinking about. Maybe we'll see some UI changes. The current interface has definitely aged, so a cleaner and more modern UI could make the game feel very different without changing the actual gameplay. Maybe we'll see texture reworks. Some of Cubic Castle's older assets could definitely benefit from a visual refresh. We'll get a new event. And honestly, this would make a lot of sense. Events are one of the easiest ways to give returning players something to actually do. New rewards, new activities, something that makes people say, okay, let's log in and see what's going on. But there's another possibility. The update could contain something none of us are expecting. And until the developers reveal more, we simply don't know. So don't take any of these theories as confirmed features. The only thing we can confidently say is something is coming in August. So, the big question. If you used to play Cubic Castles years ago, should you come back? Honestly, I think you should at least try it. Not because the game is suddenly perfect. It isn't. And I don't think anyone should pretend it is. But because Cubic Castles is entering an interesting period. There's a new development direction. There's a community that is still active. There's an upcoming content update. And there's an opportunity for the game to improve. And if you have good memories of Cubic Castles, you really don't have much to lose by logging back in. You might even find your old friends are still around. So if you were one of those people who played Cubic Castles years ago, maybe this is your sign to check it out again. Because whatever happens next, we're about to see a new chapter of the game. And August could be the first real glimpse of what that chapter is going to look like. Will it be a UI overhaul, texture improvements, a new event, something completely unexpected? We don't know yet. But as soon as we do, I'll be covering it. And I'm especially interested in hearing from the old players. If you used to play Cubic Castles, when did you stop playing? And more importantly, what would actually make you come back? A huge update? A new event? Your old friends returning? Better security? Or do you just want Cubic Castles to feel like it did back in the old days? Let me know. Because if this game is going to have another chapter, I think the old players should have a say in what that chapter looks like. Welcome back to Cubic Castles.